There I am. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the stream here. I certainly hope you guys are doing great today, because I'm doing pretty good myself. And today, it is Wednesday. We're going to be back in some Planet Coaster today. Now, if you guys were here the past two streams, you'll notice, or you saw, that both times, unfortunately, I had a computer crash right in the middle of the stream. I think I have that fixed. I think it might have been a networking issue, because the only two times it crashed was during a stream. So I have a feeling it was something to do with the network. So I actually went out and bought a new router this weekend and got it plugged in. I've been playing around with it. It seems like it's running a little bit better now. But this is the first stream I've actually used the new router with, so we'll see how that goes. But on to today's topic, we are going to be back in Planet Coaster. If you weren't here last week, I actually have the what we did last week still pulled up. So let's go ahead and jump right into the game here. So let me have it pulled up for you guys. This is the Lake Monster. This is our boomerang coaster on the edge of the lake here. We actually did all the queues and everything in the station last stream here. Also, right at the end, we actually did all the coaster tracks and everything. I still haven't got a sign made for this one yet. I did look into building one this week, and I was having a few issues with it, so I'm like, alright, I'll save that for a little later. The only thing I really did off camera was add some of the fencing around the ride here. I haven't added it all in yet. I want to do another row along here as well, and just to kind of keep people from walking into these areas so they don't get their head kicked off, because I say that kind of jokingly, but there actually has been a case or two where something like this has happened, so kind of want to avoid that. So fencing works pretty well, and then I might put a few bushes in here as well, and then it'll be kind of the beginning of the stream. But what I really wanted to focus on, and if you read the title of the stream, I did want to actually start working on our car ride here. I don't know if I'm going to be calling it Driving Miss Daisy. It's a good name, I'll be honest with you. But I've named that a couple of times in some of my other parks. So I might change it up. I don't know. It might be something I carry through to this park as well. And I'll show you kind of maybe some designs I had in mind when I first drew this out. So, but let's get on with this fencing really quick so we can move on to the other thing real quick. But yeah, if you guys were not here last time, it kind of stinks, but this is what we pretty much did. Pretty much we tried to detail the station as much as we could. I think it looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. Pretty accurate, I would say. For some reason, people still keep jumping the fence here. I think that just might be when I reload Planet Coaster. This, for some reason, comes up as well, and the people jump the gates for some reason. So I don't know if that's just something that's a little bit of a glitch or whatever have you. But it usually fixes itself after a cycle or two, so I'm not really that concerned with it. But yeah, I mean, when I say I put in the fence off camera, I was doing this. I got down here about 10 minutes ago. I'm like, great, I'm ready to stream, and I've got 10 minutes to spare. I'm like, I'll just go ahead and start doing the fencing. So this is the most exciting thing to watch, I'll be honest with you, and I do know that. So I just figured I would at least start it, and so we wouldn't have to watch the entire thing on camera, and then we can move on to our car ride. Now, I was looking at car rides to kind of model ours after. When I usually try to do a ride, I look up a couple different photos and try to get some ideas and things like that, but I try not to copy them verbatim. Number one, I kind of like making my own stuff up. It's kind of fun to do that. But it is kind of, especially if you're doing like a park that you would think would exist in a real place like this, you would want your own custom stuff. I mean, the Vekoma Boomerang, yes, it's pretty much just a copy of a ride, which, is true, but it also makes some sense that you would copy that ride. There's I don't know if there's hundreds, there's quite a few boomerang coasters like this out in the world, so it makes sense to have one like that looks similar to another one, because that's how it is in real life as well. Grays, how are you doing today? See how you popped in there. So yeah, the car ride though, is kind of a unique thing, because well, at least for me, when I pull up car ride photos, a lot of them is from the local music park at Kings Island, because they just put in their new one about 2 years ago now. So I get a lot of photos of that, but not a lot else. I'm doing pretty good, Grays. Just really started about 5 minutes ago, so you really haven't missed much. Pretty much just my explanation of what I've been doing off camera, or what little I did off camera, and kind of a recap of last week and hopefully what we can do today. So, nothing too crazy. So, kind of the idea, while I'm just mindlessly putting fence up, I'll tell you kind of the ideas I've had for our car ride. Now, the ones I've seen online, a lot of them are really just small car rides through gardens. That's what I kind of boiled it down to. While that's not a bad thing, I mean, that's, you know, but that's essentially what it is. The ride itself really does not provide too much in the way of like thrills or anything like that. So you really kind of have to make these visual things. And I'd like to tell a little bit of a story through my rides. At least that's what I try to do, at least. And if you've been here for other streams, you kind of know that already. So I'm trying to still figure out a story for this ride. But I'm still kind of drawing a little bit of a blank. Well, thank you, Grace. I do appreciate the follow there, sir. And there it is. Thank you very much. Yep, you have it. Looks like if you have to leave, that's, you know, it happens sometimes. But you can always catch those live streams later, either on Twitch or if it's a little bit later on YouTube as well. So if you really are curious, all my streams are on my YouTube channel. Look at that! 7 minutes in, we are getting a new follower. It's already been a good stream. Let's just end it. I'm not going to end it right now. That would be terrible. But yeah, there we go. So I'll leave the fencing kind of just there for now. So I don't really know how I'm going to do this area in here right now, especially since I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I might actually extend the fence over to this so that people will try to stand underneath the gondolas. Well, there's nothing really wrong with it, but if something were to go wrong, you know, it would be nice to have an area where it's already cordoned off, and we can, if like rescue crews or something like that need to get in here, they can. Kind of the idea, at least. So there is our fencing. I think it's a little close on that side, but I think we'll be just fine there. But I did want to add a few bushes and trees and stuff like that in here, just to make it look like the ride has been there for a while. I mean, right now, this ride looks like it just has been put up. And, you know, if we're going by the story of Thunder Lake, it's probably been here for probably close to 25, 30 years. Maybe a little less than that. But I mean, it was built in the 90s, which, you know, just depending on what time in the 90s it was built, maybe from 20 to 30 years. So let's go ahead and just add in just a few bushes around the edges here. Nothing, I don't want anything too crazy, and I don't want like a jungle over here, but you know, just some light bushes and things like that around the path. Let's turn align to surface off. Just something like this, you know, to kind of dot them around, you know, around the supports of the coasters, like they're growing up around them. And they kind of make it look like these were kind of planned bushes in here, and maybe some of them were. Maybe they do use some of this as decoration, but not all of it. You know, that's kind of the idea. It's like some of this may have been decoration, and they've kind of let it go for a little bit. Maybe when they, if you remember in the lore, it did change hands. Maybe the newer owners are not as keen on it. But I mean, they still make it. They keep it trimmed, but it's not like as crazy as it was. It wasn't like completely cut, you know, cut down like it was at one point. But who knows? But I think in here just a little bit of the foliage does help a lot. I don't want to go too crazy with this over here because we're going to be doing a lot of it over on the car ride as well. So I want to kind of keep it somewhat to a minimum, pretty much just around the coaster parts and kind of along the pathing here. So something like this. I'm going to rotate this around just a little bit. Go ahead and turn that angle snap off just so that I get a little more precise control and stuff like this. We planted some of this in here. Just kind of dot this around really quick. Kind of make this look like it was planned as a flower garden at one point, but you know, maybe over time they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's an old ride. Really don't need that kind of. I mean, we don't need to put that kind of money into a flower garden in the middle of the queue line. And I imagine this ride, while it's still probably popular, it probably doesn't need all this queue, but I put it in there because, I mean, there would be some days that that it would be busy. I mean, at least not right now with everything going on, but like even some of the more, you know what, I bet you I know why. One second here. I think, so my dad, you know, big fan of the stream itself. I'm wondering if he's on the wrong. So with the new router, there've been a few teething issues with it. I think he might be on the wrong network, so I might pop off just for a second, real quick, and run up and fix that for him real quick. But yeah, that's kind of the bushing I kind of want around here. It looks pretty nice, as I think it does. I'll put a few just along here as well. But under the coaster itself, I want to put some terrain work. Let me go ahead and paint that really quick. Yeah, so let me just go ahead. I'll go ahead. I'll paint this really, or you know, let me pause this real quick. When I come back, I'll paint this real quick. I want to make sure that his is working because I want to make sure. So put the be right back screen up, you guys, and I will be right. It's gonna be like, should only take me like 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, guys. Sorry about that. It seems like the Twitch app on Xbox is not working out great right now, and that's what he uses. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe get that back up and going here. Even the website seems it's going a little bit slow today, so something on Twitch's end is not going too well. Anywho, let's go ahead and continue on this way. Just kind of want to make the ground underneath the actual ride itself, pretty much right along the coaster tracks here, kind of this dirt color, dirt and rock, essentially. Because if you think about it, and I've noticed on some coasters it's like this, the sun itself would actually be kind of shaded behind the ride most of the day. So even in its direct sunlight, or even with the direct sunlight, you know, passing through the coaster, the grass wouldn't be 100%, you know, perfect through here. So, and especially around the station, so that's why I've been kind of trying to kind of dirt this up just a little bit to where it shows kind of like maybe sun's not getting quite to some of these areas as well as it should because of the ride being here. So let's do something like that. And then we can add a few bushes along here and just kind of add it, you know, make it look a little bit nicer. So let's do something like this. Put some right up against the building here too. That we'll do some on the other side along the fencing here. Because for some reason bushes and stuff like that love to grow on fences. I don't know if it's just because water seems to gather there a little bit easier because of the fence or what, but it does seem like that. And you can kind of see this is starting to make it it doesn't. It makes the coaster look like it's been here a while just because there's things growing around it. It's not like perfectly straight edges. There's nothing, you know, there's something obscuring it, or, you know, something like that. So, you know, it makes it kind of interesting to me. It makes it look a little bit more, you know, kind of grown in. It's kind of I guess the best way to describe it. Let's add a few of the lighter green bushes along here. Like that. I think this is too much. Now that I'm looking at it, let me edit this real quick. I just think it's a little too much greenery. So let's cut back a little bit of this. I think it's what scaviola, whatever you want to call it. Let's cut that back just a little bit there. But let's actually do some terrain work in here. So let's actually pull the grass up just a little bit. So we'll do something like this. And we'll need to flatten this part out just a tiny bit. There we go. And then I'll change it to a different color of grass. That's the wrong color there. Let's do something like that. Just to kind of make it look a little bit different. You know, this kind of light terrain work, I think it looks kind of nice. I think it works pretty well for us here. So let's... Got an autosave going. It's a good one to see, especially after the last stream. or last two streams, I should say. I mean, that's we had a few issues with. I really think it was just the network crashing, and when that did that, it just did not. My computer did not know what to do. I think something like that. If we smooth this out a little bit, and then pull a little bit more up on that end, and then we change the texture on it. Just a little bit light, at least along the top there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Kind of looks like it's more grown in. And I think it looks a little bit nicer as well. If you think about it, like an area like this would be pretty hard to get to with a lawnmower. So even putting down like rocks and dirt here would actually help the landscapers. And then this stuff they'll probably cut maybe twice or 3 times a year. So it seems like it's pretty well, kind of stopped up there, which to me makes sense. I want to put a few more bushes and things like that along the station itself, and I think we'll call this one completed. I'll probably leave this corner open because I think I've covered up the rest of the corners, so leaving one open, something like that, might make it look a little bit different. But now if you look at the ride from the path here, we can kind of see that, yeah, it's kind of grown in a little bit. It's, maybe not as well kept as it once had been, but I still think it looks really nice in and of itself. I do love these coasters winding through this. So if we walk through here, I think, let me see if I can remember the correct name. I think it's called Tegit Cam. Is that not it? All right, hold on. Let me pop out to Google real quick, and we'll walk through the queue line, just kind of give you an idea of what I want it to look like. Coaster Tegid. So there's a D code in there, or D instead of a T. Tegid. There we go. So this is the kind of the guest walkthrough version of this, I think. So now you can kind of see as we're walking through here. Got the nice arch over the entrance here, a little bit on the fence there. You can see here the fence I think works pretty well. The path looks really nice. This is all the extra queue that we were working on earlier, and then you can kind of walk back into like the main section of the queue here. We got all these nice old coaster parts kind of dotted around, making it look like an old sea monster, kind of like a Loch Ness or something like that. I think it looks really nice. I could maybe use a few bushes more along the incline there. I think that might look pretty nice. You know what? We can even go up into the station and kind of show you. Well, if I don't fall off the path, we can go up into the station and show you that as well. You can kind of see the cage around it, just because of the way the boomerangs are designed. They come through here at speed, so we do want to make sure that nobody gets hit or anything like that. Go ahead and cross. Oh, well, I don't think we can cross the ride here. Well, maybe. I don't use Tegicam very often. You can kind of see that. Well, I made it back on the platform now. There we go. See if maybe I can walk where no one's supposed to walk. And there we go. So it popped me back up on the path here. I'll walk around to the exit here. So this is the exit side. You got some nice bins as well. You can see the roof structure looks pretty nice as well. Got the lights going, and then we got our operator's booth over here. You got them in a cage just in case something were to fly off the ride, but I don't think it would. So, yeah, I think it looks pretty nice so far. I think once we get some other things flushed out around it, we can actually really do some more detailing on it as well. But I think so far I quite like it. Now let's move on to our car ride here. Now, what do we want to do with this ride? I have no idea yet, but I do have some ideas of what I want. There's some elements I do want to add in here. So let's go ahead and add those first. First thing I want to do is actually add in a small lake over here. So let's go back to terrain work. Y'all know how good I am with terrain work. Can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but that's okay. So essentially what I want to do is create just a small lake somewhere around here. Probably in this general area, if I had to guess. Also want to do just a little bit of a creek running out of there. And when I say little, I probably about need something a little less than 10 meters, probably maybe a nice 5-meter creek. I think that'll work out pretty well. And just have it curve back into, oh, that's taking a little too far to the towards the right. I want it to curl. Oh, it does not want to. There, that's kind of how I want it to go. And we'll have it come out somewhere in there. I think that looks pretty good here. Let's see if the water can add here. Does not look like it. They can add it there. We can smooth some of the. Here, let's actually push. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. That looks a lot better. That's kind of what I wanted. Want to smooth this out a little bit, so let's go ahead and do that. Kind of smooth out the edges here, just so that it looks a little more natural, I guess, instead of the just like I threw a lake down here kind of vibe. Let's just smooth this out. We'll actually smooth this part out more. If you know anything about rivers or anything like that, they erode the outer bank of the river faster than they do the inner one. Matter of fact, actually, the inner one can actually gain some more than the outer one will. So we might even roughen this side up just a tiny bit. Seeing like it looks like it's been eroding out here, but then kind of adding more into here. Essentially, that's how things work. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So we got our lake in now. So what do we want to, the first thing I want to do, work on this bridge here. So essentially, what I had mapped out in mind is, so the ride itself will start out here. And I think I want to make this look like somebody's garage. Like an old, like, 1900s, maybe 1910s garage. So this would be probably like some sort of either barn, or if they were rich, it'd be something like a stable. I mean, they really didn't think of a car garage until a lot later. And then, so essentially, you'll start out here. We'll drive along here. I'm thinking about making this look like a hillside that you kind of drive along. Once again, I really don't want to scare anybody on this ride, so it'll be a safe hillside. Some nice guardrails and things like that. And you'll come down into this little valley area. You'll cross the bridge by the lake and the little creek here. Cross over here. I might do something over here. Don't know yet. But then I kind of want to. It's kind of meander through the country here is kind of what I'm thinking here. Maybe do a nice little farm area that you drive past before heading back home. Essentially, that's kind of the idea that I want to portray. Let me see something really quick here. Send a quick text. I missed a call from somewhere. Oh well. Go. Now let's go ahead and put the bridge on here. I'm thinking this might just be a wooden bridge, something like, I don't know if I might do a covered bridge. The only problem with doing a covered bridge is that these aren't even, and number one, that drives me crazy. But I don't really know how to, like, I'd have to redo most of this section of the ride here, and I don't know if I have the heart to do it. But I can make it look like an old bridge that maybe is kind of lopsided. I think that might, give it a little more character. Maybe it was just kind of lopsided kind of thing. So I think that might work pretty well. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. Trying to think how I want to start this. I think I want to do wood. It's going to be a wood bridge because I don't think, in my mind, this bridge would not probably have been something a government would have put up. This would have been like the local townspeople were like, hey, we need a bridge here. And, a farmer, a couple farmers from around the place, like, hey, we can go put it up. And so, to me, that's kind of how it would go. And so it would be whatever materials they had. So probably some wood. Probably these nice thick wood beams, I think, would be a good start. And that's maybe why the bridge is uneven, because these aren't professional. The people who designed this ride were not professional engineers. That would make some sense. Interesting. Because through the building, I do want to have a story to this ride, and I think that might be what's part of this ride, is that because these were not professional engineers, they didn't know how to exactly build this bridge, so they just kind of went with their gut, and this is what we got. It might be a little uneven, but that's okay. It works. So there is that. At that point, I think that's kind of where the ride one goes a little bit lower than the other one does. So what we'll do, I'll do something like autosave going on, hopefully. There it is. So it was taking a minute, and I was very concerned that it was trying to crash again, but I don't think it was. I think it was just trying to autosave, which is just fine in my book. You can kind of tell that it gets really narrow here as well. So let's go ahead and slide this over to here. Once again, remember, for non-professional engineers. You know what? We might put one there because I don't think the car will hit that. It's pretty narrow to those tracks. There's not really much overhang on them. So we'll need something on the other side as well here. Let's bring it actually from here. You know what? I just realized that these are really getting off. I know they kind of tilt in a little bit, so we'll have to kind of adjust for that as well. And then we will slide this one across like that and over to the edge. Move that back just a little bit more like that. I think that would kind of be our support system for this bridge. Now I do want to have some wooden planks. So what kind of wood planks we have. I know there's a couple I'm thinking of that are relatively long. So I have these, but I think these are a little warped. And while they would work, and to be honest, they would add to the story, because then, I mean, if they're not, I mean, that would make more sense. Kind of the idea is that, these, if we're going with the idea that these local farmers put this bridge up because they needed it more rather than people, like government putting this up, these boards would not probably be great. They would probably be old rickety boards that they had either from an old barn they pulled down or what have you. So let's use them. That's kind of the idea. And we have them. Let's use them. So let's do something like this. Slide that board up to there. And there we go. I think that we won't do that for the whole thing. I think I at least want to make this 2 boards tall. What I mean by that is I'll show you what I mean on this one. So I want to do at least do 2 boards thick. So it'd be something like that. And that'll be pretty much be the road surface. I think this will work. And we can even paint them. I think we should. What is the white? Okay, the white's okay. What I want to do, though, is go into here and kind of fade them a little bit. So we have that brown color still, but it looks like it was painted at one point, but it has faded over time. But it still works, and that's kind of the whole point of it. So let's grab that. I kind of like it's also grayed a little bit because the old wood will gray eventually. So yeah, I think that's how we're going to do this. I think we can kind of just clone this to the other side too. So at least that's what I'm hoping. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but we'll see. Looks like I might need to rotate that just a little bit more. What kind of concerns me though is a lot of these are custom angles that I'm gonna have to deal with. So we will have to get there, try to figure that out as well. I think so far this bridge looks pretty nice. I think it's a good start. I like the story behind it. It's kind of the born out of necessity kind of thing, which makes, that's what a lot of, it's kind of the driving force sometimes behind certain ideas or projects or what have you, is that there was a need, and that this is what they came up to fill that need. So I think it'll work. If not, we try something else. That's kind of the idea of this game. It's a great, it's a great idea that we kind of have this freedom to do as we please. So there we go. We'll slide those over, just to make it look like it's a fully continuing bridge there. Looks pretty good to me. So let's take these 4 boards here. So like that. Duplicate those. We'll slide those forward and up. And we'll need to rotate them just slightly. Like that. Slide them backwards. A little bit like so. Slide them actually back a little bit more. There we go. And the non-professional engineer's excuse kind of gives me the freedom to make this look a little bit off. So if it's not perfect, then it's okay. Because sometimes you gotta, that's something you gotta think about. I mean, I'm not the best Planet Coaster player in the world. There's, literally there's probably a good list, and I'm probably not even in the top 100. I could be wrong, but even though that, I still, I can do some pretty cool things, I think. And so, sometimes you just gotta kind of push and see what you can do. But, the excuse of non-professional engineers, doing this bridge, it makes it feel a little more rustic. It kind of makes it feel like, you're in a little bit different time, to where those kind of rules are a little more lax, where if you need a bridge, you kind of build it yourself. Which I kind of like that idea. Trust me, I wouldn't want that idea now, because spending 3 years in engineering college, I've seen what some of the engineers have done, and I don't know if I want to build a bridge with them, or have them build a bridge at all. Not all of them. Most of them are pretty good, but there was a couple that were like, yeah, maybe not, maybe not. Have you tried business school yet? I don't know. I mean, I say that I also had some issues in engineering college. I'm not just saying it was not just others, it was me too. Because engineering college, not easy. But I mean, that's kind of the idea of it. I mean, there's, with college and things like that, people complain about how hard some of the classes are. Well, it's like there's a reason, because I mean, there's something in engineering which I think is interesting, and it's so doctors, when they become doctors, they take what they call is the Hippocratic Oath. I don't remember what exactly it is. Engineers don't have the same, it doesn't have the same one, but there's one that's very similar to that in engineering. Because if you think about this, and this is still serious, where if a doctor messes up, someone can die very easily. And it's like, and that's not a great thing. But if an engineer messes up, you could put hundreds or even thousands of people's lives at risk. And so we still have to hold ourselves to those standards. So I can understand why it's hard, because it is a hard job. It's something that is it's a very serious job too. So something I still want to get into. I still love, engineering and stuff like that. But when I think I've told the story on stream before, when I had an accident. It's been right now 4 years ago. Well, it'll be 4 years ago next month. But I actually fell and broke my elbow in 13 different places. Hurt my back pretty bad. I herniated 2 discs in my back. And so, while I'm okay now, that really put a damper on what I could really do. And I was driving to Cincinnati every day. And that was getting kind of hairy, especially with the medication I was on. So that's when I decided to go into software development and software engineering. But I still love civil engineering. I love doing stuff like this. So maybe one day I'll get back into it and hopefully be able to finish. But yeah, this is, I'm liking how this is shaping up so far. I'll take that one here. Now this is one of those rides where I wish I could have a couple extra cars just to place around. because, you know, if you've ever been on one of these rides, and there might be ones like this at your local amusement park, or if you go to Disney or something like that. I mean, Disney has a ride like this. It's the Tomorrowland Speedway. Same idea and everything like that, but it's a little bit different setting. It's more based on racing than a nice stroll or a nice drive through the countryside, but but it's still the same idea. It's a gas-powered car that you drive along a fixed track. I mean, that's what they are. But they're still fun. Like, that was still, growing up, that Tomorrowland Speedway was still one of my favorite rides. So, you know, but going back to those rides, every one of them actually has, like, a maintenance area. So we have to figure out a place where we can put our maintenance area at, that we can pull cars on and off with. I might just put it right here, because it doesn't have to be huge. Like, the one at Kings Island is literally the length of the platform, and it fits about 2 lanes of cars. So it's not huge, but it works as a maintenance area. They can refuel the cars there, they can work on them, things like that. So, pretty neat. I think that's at least the basis of our covered bridge now. Now, I think with this, since we really have 2 kind of separate sides of the bridge, I think we're actually going to make this 2 separate roof areas. We're going to have like 2 pitches in the roof. So let's go ahead and let's raise all these columns up a bit, because we have, I was going to raise this to make this the roof line or roof level. The problem is that there's a lot of it's still underground. We can use a lot of it still, and we can keep our parts down a little bit that way. So let's go ahead and grab all of these. Didn't put one on that side. May need to do that. So let's do something like that. Now I'll need a car to go in there. It looks like there's one coming down the hill. So let's go ahead and just hit play. So I want to see how tall I need to make the roof. Almost let that car go by without stopping it. Alright, so right now, I think we can get away with this height. It'll be a little low, but I think we can do it. And essentially what I want to do is just cover from here to probably here. Leave these kind of open just as bridge supports. So we might just want to go ahead and lower those back into the ground here. So these 5. Kind of lower them down just to make them look like, yes, they're supporting the bridge still, but they're not part of the roof system. And once again, if these guys aren't professional engineers, they wouldn't have thought about, you know how tall this bridge really needs to be. They just like, hey, we need to put a bridge up. We want to put a cover on it. Great. Here's what we got. So let's do that. So there is, well, that worked out well. So we'll put the cross beams in here like so. And we'll slide these out. Now I won't put any on the side here. I just want to make these arches. The kind of the cross ones I'm going to make out of just regular planks. Probably very similar to the ones we have on the bridge already. What I'll probably do, I want to go at least probably up 2 more. So I'll probably just go ahead and just copy all these. And let's get rid of the columns too. Hopefully this works. Looks like it did. Great. And then I need the other wood planks here. What I'm going to do with these, I'm going to put these upright. How tall? Not really sure yet. But something like that. Slide that over to here. I'm going to make some windows. Probably about that tall. We'll do them 2 planks in. And then we'll do 1, 2. Slide those over to there. We'll do 2 more on this side. And then 2 more on the end here. And that will be some nice windows. And then the rest of the headspace above where the arches are will fill in with some nice planks there. Now that does not look too bad at all. And if I'm not mistaken, kind of gives the rider some great views out the windows, and that's kind of the whole idea of it. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this top here. Hopefully, while I did eyeball it, hopefully these all fit roughly into the same places. Like, look at that. Must have a good eyeball or something, because that looks pretty good in there. We'll do the same thing on the other side as well, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's grab all these side pieces here, like that, and like that. Duplicate it. And like that. We'll grab get rid of the columns again. That should be correct. Duplicate all this. Like that. We should be able to do the same on this side too, but we'll see. Oh, look at that. I might have to move the ones on the end just a tiny bit, but that is just fine there. There we go. Then we got our basics of our covered bridge here. We do need to do the ends as well here. I don't think I'll be able to put 2 windows in, but I think at least 1 window, and I think that'll work out pretty well. So what I'll do is I'll actually center these. Yeah, I don't think I could have gotten 2 in there, but that's okay. What we'll do is we'll do something like this, and slide this over to there. So what I'll do is I'll actually make this window just a little bit wider on either side, just by adding in the, actually that one was pretty good actually. So there we go. I think that's how we're going to do this one. Once again, not perfect. You can kind of tell this window's a little bit out of whack, but that's kind of the idea. I mean, we know you're going up an incline, so, you know, it makes a little bit more sense that way. And maybe this bridge, even though I know it's a little bit off on both sides, let me actually slide this forward just a little bit. I might have to rotate this one just a tiny bit, just to get a little bit, nope, turn that off. Just get a little bit better alignment on it. But I think because we built both sides the same way, I think it's going to kind of fool the eye into thinking that this bridge is actually even, when I know it's totally not. But that's kind of the idea, at least. So far, I think it looks pretty good. You put some roofs on it, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll probably just use some grid roof. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Where's the 1 meter slope at? There it is. I'm hoping this works. I don't know if it will or not, but we're going to give it a try. Essentially, this should... It looks like that's lined up properly, at least. Let's do something like that, and then what we'll do that, and then I'm going to hit escape. Or if I do that wrong, I'm going to split that from the building. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to split this from the building, or the scenery building at least, and then slide this over to its proper place. Kind of push it down just a little bit, just so that I can get an idea of, you know, kind of what I want to look at. I think that looks pretty good. I'll have to fill in the little top gap here, but that's to be expected there. Go ahead and edit this building as well. Let's go ahead and duplicate all this down this way here. Like that. And I might have to change the height on some of the pillars there, or something like that. I think this might... Sometimes I just want to change... Ooh, that's actually the cross beam there. And we can probably pull it in just enough to where it won't interfere with the roof anymore. There we go, perfect. Same with this one. It's like I can't lower it anymore because we already have some height issues. But I don't think it really changes the inside of it at all. I think that works out pretty well. But yeah, I think that is kind of the basis of our covered bridge. We're going to cover in that little areas on either end here. I don't know why I turned my phone off. Get that back going here. Trust. That's the wrong one there. There we go. There we go. All right, so back to this. I want to go ahead and fill in that area while I'm thinking about it. And I'll probably use just the regular. There's wood beams we actually use quite a bit on here. I'll probably use those to help fill in that area. Just because I think those, we have a little more flexibility with them. I think that'll allow us to fill in that just a little bit better. We can also probably paint them to kind of match the rest of it as well. It's the wrong formula. There we go. There's that. There might be a few holes, you know, and for something like this, if it was like a really modern bridge or something like that, I would try to cover them up. But since this is supposed to be like an old, like, country bridge, I think I'm okay with leaving a few gaps in it. Oh great, sticking out both sides. That's not usually a good thing. Alright. I think that will work out perfectly for us. Let's go ahead and just duplicate that to the other side really quick here. Might need to copy a few, well, I might not copy, I might have to move it down just a little bit here. Well, there we go. Let's edit it up just a little bit. I think this one might be a little bit shorter. Maybe not. I don't know, maybe I just noticed the holes a little bit more on that end. Either way, I think that's going to be kind of the basis of our bridge. I think we'll add a little bit of trim work to it just to make it look a little bit nicer. Nothing too crazy though, because once again, it's still an old bridge. But some of these really, like some of these really, these bridges are really nice. You know, if you go through them. Let's see, what is that? Let's paint it to the right color at least. See what that looks. Well, I like the paneling idea. I don't know if that one would be the correct one. If that makes sense. See what other ones we have first. Let's see what that looks like in the right color here. I think maybe we do something like this. Slide this back just a little bit so that it looks a little more integrated with the bridge here. This is the one we need to rotate down just a tiny bit. Or a little too much, but alright. Like that. And like that. Like that. I think that, yeah, I think that adds just a little bit of detail to it. And it makes, instead of, once again, we had a bit of a flat wall there. It adds a little more interest to it. I like it, so. Let's go ahead and duplicate this onto the other side here. At least these four we can kind of duplicate. I don't know if we'll be able to rotate and duplicate. We'll see here in a second. We should be able to slide these over to the other side here and be pretty close. Except this one, on the end here, we'll need to rotate it down just a little bit. And turn that off. And get this lowered into place. That looks good. Do the other side here. Oop, I just pulled my microphone. Sorry if I hurt any ears there. But accidentally hit my microphone cable. Usually not a good thing. Alright, so let's rotate this out just a little bit, just to help match up with that wall just a little bit better. And like that. And there we go. There is that taken care of. I'll get that one taken care of. There we go. I think that's going to be kind of just our bridge there. It's plain. I get it. I actually... there's a lot of overhang there. I think we'll leave it there like that. Because I think the 2 meter easement, well, I don't think it would look great on this one. So I think that'll work out. I think, I think for what it is, it looks pretty nice. It makes sense. I love the windows and everything like that. You can kind of really see out and everything. So there is that. That was like the only real solid idea I had. So let's actually, well, we do have the cliffside, hillside drive here. So why don't we pull the terrain up to the ride? It's a little bit wider here. And then we can come back through and fix this here momentarily. So essentially the idea is I want to make it look like this side, at least on the inside of the path here. I want to make it look like it's pretty much right on that edge. I mean, enough where it might add a little bit of drama to this, but nothing too out of the ordinary. I think I need to turn the intensity down just a little bit here. Just so that I probably need to turn this down as well. Just get a little bit more precise here. Apparently this is also another good way to make sloping paths. If you ever are curious, just to place a car ride or something like this, a track ride of some sort down, get the correct path, or get the kind of the track to where you want your path at, raise the ground to your liking, and then delete the ride and put your path down. I've never used that method, but I've heard it works pretty well. So, take that as you will. You can probably actually find a video or two on YouTube if you are curious about that. So far, this is working as I was hoping it would. So it's getting a little bit steeper on that left side. We can always rough it up just a little bit, just to give that little extra, extra kind of almost natural look to it for like a hillside or a cliffside. They're not as smooth as a nice rolling hill or something like that. So how much more of this do we have to do? There's quite a bit left. Now granted, I know turning up the intensity would help us go a little bit faster, but I want to make sure that we stay as close to the ride as possible, just so that it gives that look, it gives it the look that it's actually on the ground, not just floating in midair. And there's some parts like up in here I'm gonna have to fix anyways, so it's not a huge deal if I don't, but I try to at least. Come on, we're almost there. Excuse me. There we go. I think that will work out pretty well. And I'm okay with if the ground kind of comes up over the ride, just a tiny bit over on that side. This is the side I'm kind of a little more concerned about. Let's get right in there. As you can tell, terrain work, not my forte. I am not usually one to do very well with terrain. There's some people that can like just sculpt out of it. I'm just lucky to have a nice hill, you know, out of a piece of dirt. All right, now that we have this, let's go ahead and roughen up this side just a tiny bit, just to kind of make it look like it's a little bit more jagged, a little bit more. Just trying to cut a little bit more. From the side, just to make it look a little bit more precarious. Something like that. And I'm okay with kind of the rock kind of coming up over it. I don't know, it kind of makes it look a little like you're driving into like a small canyon or something like that. Alright, let's actually do this end really quick, because this side shouldn't take too long, but so let's turn up the intensity just a little bit here. Actually, if I had the right tool out, probably would be a good idea. Don't need to flatten the terrain, I need to actually make it look a little bit more like a hill. Let's do something like that. Now what I'm going to do first, I want to try to smooth all this out, see if maybe I can get the dirt to fall away first. Kind of like that. Kind of work our way down a little bit more. Push it just a little bit here. Let's pull this up just a little bit. And we'll smooth this out again to see if, there we go. Look at that. I think that looks a little bit better now. Kind of get that, you know, looks like it's on a nice hillside here, and I think that'll work out pretty well. Now, since this is a car driving ride, I kind of want to make this path look like it's kind of the shoulder on this side, and kind of on both sides. Let's turn up the intensity just a little bit more. So I want to make this look like they've kind of carved it out, but you got to remember, the cars that they're using are from the early 1900s. So most of these roads would still be dirt. Let's just be totally real here. And there is that. That looks pretty good. So I think next thing we need to do is work on maybe some of the guardrails on this side. And I think I have an idea how I want to do that. There's some post that is in buildings that I think will work out pretty well as the post for the guardrails. If you guys are not from the United States and don't know what guardrails are, essentially, when you're driving, it's the fencing that kind of keeps you into the road if you have an accident. Now it's kind of gone through a couple different transitions through the years, but I'm just kind of doing the stock standard one that I see the most often, probably. Don't see them on there. Is it pole maybe? Yeah, there they are. I'll probably just do the half meter, or do I want to do a full meter? Or a full 2 meter? We'll do the 2 meter ones. I think those will work out a little bit better. Send those straight up here. Pull them out just a little bit, and we'll sink them into the ground just a tiny bit. Well, say a tiny bit. A little bit more than just a tiny bit, but there is that. Now we got to figure out what we want to use as kind of the guardrail itself. Do we want to just use arch shapes? Because I'm thinking that might be the best idea. Unless we do have the 6x9. It's a little small. And we also want to align that to surface, please. It's a little small there, because we can kind of double it up a little bit. Actually, do we have a longer one? We probably do. I'm just kind of looking to see what we got. There's a 12 by 12 that might. Kind of looks a little beefier, like something we could use for safety. But you know what? Let's go with the 6 by 9. I kind of like the little bit flatter look to it. I'm going to rotate that like that. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and slide that to there. One more. Nope. Those three. Not the car ride. There we go. So that'll be our group here. There we go. Something like that. I think that'll work. And it's like, and if you've seen these around and didn't know what they were, these are what those are. Hopefully, they'll cooperate. Because I got a feeling that if these aren't going to be the easiest things to move around, but they should be pretty simple to do. I think we'll just go ahead and do these 4 here. We'll look at that one slides pretty good into place here. I think I want to go ahead and do. We got 7 there. I want to grab those. So slide this one over here. I want to rotate it just along with the ride itself, just so that it kind of stays up with it. The other thing, I do need to tilt this up just ever so slightly, just so that it follows the road as well. So you see here, that's about where it needs to be, and you can see how short the this one is. So let's go ahead and rotate this one up like so. Slide it into place there. Even the other one still fits perfectly. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and continue on up the hill here. Now this ride, I would imagine, while it's an older ride, they would keep this one pretty well kept for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is an older ride. People do enjoy this, especially families. But the other thing, I would suspect that the reason they would, want to keep this one looking good, because it is part of a garden area. So I suspect they want to keep the garden nice, so they keep the ride nice and things like that. So it makes a little more sense that way. So let me actually, I think that's where I'm going to end the guardrail for this side at least. Let's put a pole there, and there we go. We've got a nice little guardrail there. Got a little bit of a kink in it, but that's kind of the idea. I didn't want it to be too crazy, but I think that'll work. Feel great. All right, so let's do the same to the, well, I'm going to do the other side. We're essentially trying to think what we'd be driving around here. We might actually want to bring that small little creek over here actually down into this area, just to make sure that we can kind of hide the we can hide the origin of the water, which will probably just be a pump of some sort. So let's kind of meander it back through here. I said meander it back through here. Thank you. And turn it a little bit kind of lazily over to this side. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of gives a reason also for this rock to be kind of tall. Just going to push this down a little bit more so we get a little bit more of the blue color to it, so the grass tunes. What we can also do is actually paint this into like a nice rock color, just so that you can kind of see it a little bit better, and it gives it kind of the natural look it should, because I mean, you really wouldn't have grass underwater unless it's flooded somehow. So something like this. Just turn up the intensity a little bit here. Then I'll do it around the outside of the lake because I think that darker color I like in the middle of the lake. So I'll do something like that. And we'll kind of maybe on this outside here. Switch over to the other rock, just kind of dot that around just a little bit more. Alrighty, I think that looks pretty good. And just stretch a little bit more today for some reason. Ugh, I don't know why I'm so tired either. I mean, I went to bed a little late last night and I had to get up. Got up early. I had to get up early this morning to work. This is week 3 of my internship, so I actually they've allowed me to start working a little bit from home, so which is awesome. Like usually on Wednesdays and Fridays I usually work from home. Like next week I'm working all from home because my supervisor is not going to be there. He said it might just be easier for me just to stay home for those days, which is awesome. I probably need to turn the intensity back down to about a 50. But I had to get up this morning. I was working on somebody asked me to work on their computer this morning. Even though usually I take Wednesdays off, I usually will pop in for a little bit at work just to make sure everything's going okay. Especially with IT, you don't really know what's going wrong until it goes wrong. And if it happened after you left and you don't check, it can be a bit of a pain when you come in next. So, just went and make sure. And there's a couple people I was helping yesterday. I want to make sure they were still doing okay. But it seemed like everything was going okay. So, wasn't too concerned about it. So, let's try to maybe slope this a little bit more. That looks, that's not ideal. But let's try re-pulling this up a little bit. Just a little bit there. That's not bad. And we'll turn down the intensity and just push a little bit. Just kind of lightly drag our mouse over the track here. There we go. Just fix a little bit of this. If I smooth it, it might help it a little. Well, maybe not. Pull it. Come on. There we go. It's a little bit better. I think this is working out so far. Go and go. Just kind of fix these spots real quick. So there we have our kind of a hillside, at least a terrain done for the hillside. Somewhat. I'm trying to fix this little area in here real quick. There we go. Clean that up. There we go. And it's still not going to be perfect, but that's okay. So there is that. Let's go ahead and kind of roughen up this hillside as well. I'm just going to make it help match the other side. So we'll flatten this one to this terrain, probably around there maybe. We'll give a nice cliff. It'll give us a little bit of a cliff here, which is what we want. Go through with some rock paint. We'll just paint the rocks on here. Turn down the size. We'll turn up the intensity though. A little bit more of the different colors of rock here as we also use this as part of the road as well. We'll put some of the dirt and sand down as well. We'll also need to, unfortunately, we'll have to somehow encase this ride just a little bit with some fencing. But I don't want to do a traditional fence because, especially for a ride like this, it might make it look a little bit odd to be behind like a chain link fence or something like that. And I mean, if you get hit by one of these cars, one, it's your own fault for how fast or for how slow they go. If you can't avoid one of these cars. Number two, you shouldn't be jumping over the fence, but people do still do that and things like like that. So I think we'll have to have some sort of fence, probably nothing crazy. I might just do like a white picket fence around it, and then do every once in a while have like a brick gate or something like that. That if maintenance needs to go through or something like that, they can. Now for this hillside run, I think we need to add a couple trees, especially up on this side as well. Let's make it look kind of nice, things like that. So I have to get these trees out here. This is what I mean by foliage works. I know we're going to do a lot of this today, especially with this ride. But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense for something like this to be kind of like a nice garden area for the park. Oh, well, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Alright, let's go back in here. A nice beech tree. Yeah, I think that, well, I don't know. It's one of those weird things. Like, I'm not I don't study plants or anything, and there's some people out there that do, which I give them full credit, because that's something I probably could not do myself. Like knowing how trees, like, oh yeah, this tree only grows in this sort of climates and stuff like that. I have really no idea about that. I mean, I know palm trees don't grow in the middle of Ohio. Like, that's one of the big things. Although I think my mom would love that if it did. I think that tree might be a little big for that, yeah. Alright, let's look for another tree that might fit there a little bit better. Maybe a sycamore or a sycaless. That one might be a little bit better. And it kind of gives it a nice, you know, let's see, how big is this sycamore? I like that one a little bit better. Yeah, I think that one looks a little bit better. I want to completely block this path up with trees, essentially. Let's see what other kind of stuff we have around here. Very nice poplar. Maybe a little big there. Not really a big Douglas fir person. Nice Crimson King, maybe. Right here by the river. We even have a few roots sticking out into the river. Like so. Makes some sense. And then I think we just need to, well, I think we need actually a few more trees down this way before we move on to bushes. Alright, I think we'll just kind of do one scene at a time. I don't think we'll try to do all of it at once, because it would be a big pain in the butt to do all that at once. I do want to add a bit of color as well, because you know, essentially this is almost like a garden tour of this place. So yeah, I'm going to add some pops of color as well. We have some nice flowers in these bushes here. The right ones. Where would I put those? Just small pops of color, I think that'll help, especially with all this green around here. That'll help out rather quite a bit, just to have those there. Let's continue up this side here with some more foliage. I should have got coffee instead of tea today. Good lord, it's something is not agreeing with me today. Probably just the lack of sleep is probably not helping. I think I want to go ahead and just connect these two areas up here. Let's see if we can rotate this one a little bit more. Put it in there. It looks pretty good. Like this side, I think would have more foliage on it than this side, just because of the cliff here. But I think it'll have just a few, you know, nothing too crazy. I mean, right at the base of this cliff, right around the river, there would be more just because of the available water source there and things like that, so. A little bit. There we go. And I think what we do, I think we need to get this kind of section pretty much how we want it. And then I think we're going to do like a sample fence around here to kind of see. Because if we do a fence around here and then we realize we don't like it, then we're going to have to find a different way. And I don't want to tear up all that fencing if we don't like it. So need to go back through and add some color to this here momentarily. Alright, so there is that. Kind of shields the ride a little bit, but so it gives you an idea. Maybe I'll leave this a little more open. Maybe just add just a few bushes along this tree here, so that people can kind of see into the ride a little bit more, and they're a little bit framed better that way and things like that. So, all right, color. What kind of color can we add to this? Maybe some of these white floral bushes. Sink them in just a little bit more. Just kind of have them popping out like this, like it was just, you know, there'd be one bush, and then through pollination, it kind of spread out a little bit more along this line as well. Get some red in here. Always nice. Green and red's always very nice together. At least I think it is. You know, nice Christmas colors. Think about it that way. And, you know, you got these little pops of color as you're. So if you're driving up through here, you got the nice flowers on the right hand side and the left. And if you come up here, you got a little bit more. A little bit more foliage, stuff like that. I think this looked pretty good. I think so far, and it kind of still gives you that look of the ride. You know, it kind of shows you, hey, there's a ride over here, but you know, so it gives you a little bit of a teaser, I guess. All right, let's look at fencing, because I think that's going to be kind of a big thing around here. And like, I really thought something like this could very well be good enough. And I have an idea, because while I think that's a really nice fence, and I think we're going to use it, I just throwing a fence out there is not a great idea. So what I'm thinking of doing is going in here and adding a bit of temple into it. I'll see what I mean here in just a moment. Yeah, I wish they made this piece a little bit smaller. Another piece maybe that I can use. This might work. Matter of fact, this actually might work a little better than I thought it would. Alright, so here's what I want to do. I want to line this up with the path here. I want to add a small curb to it. Because, you know, along here I think you would need some sort of curbing just to help keep people on the path here. So there is that piece. And now we'll put the fence on top of here. Well, I need to align that to a surface, please. Like that. We'll rotate this up 100 or 180, 50 or 90 degrees. Angles, great. My mind, I don't know if I'm just losing my mind or what, but something is not going right here. Alrighty, and let's brighten this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Do I think that works? I don't know. And that's kind of what's... Let's add a little bit more to see if maybe that... maybe just having one singular piece is what's kind of be a little iffy about it. I actually think I used these these temple pieces as curbs in the parking lot, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I know I did something like this, very similarly to do the parking lot curbs. Which, even once we get more towards the back of the park, we're going to have to do more parking for the employees this time. And I have some ideas for that as well, just from when I used to work for Cedar Fair. So there is that. Alright, why is it doing this to me now? Really? Gonna be a bit of a pain now to line up. Game's auto-saving. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Now we can kind of get back here and fill in these pieces just a little bit. And like right here. Alright, there is that a little bit better. I think... Well, I'm not totally sold on the idea. I like the idea enough to keep it. What I'm also going to do, I want to see how this looks. Because I don't think we need a totally just fence here. I think it's going to need some support, and because I thought about doing this before. Something like... You know, maybe I should put it on top and then rotate it to its proper place. Doing something like this. Slide that over just a little bit here. And then putting a cap on top of it. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. And it's going to slide that down to where it's, I think that looks pretty good. I do want to paint this actually in white though. Just to kind of help match the fence a little bit better. And the brick, I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit here. That's kind of the idea I had. For this fence here is kind of every once in a while put these nice brick pieces in, just to it would show that the wood had a little bit more support to it than just itself and the concrete below it. This is what I'm like. This is one of those moments where like I like it, but it's like it still seems like it's not a whole lot. If that makes sense. Like, I like how it looks and things like that, but I think it could be done a little bit better. But I want to see if I can... Let's just see how it looks when it's on a flat surface like this. See if maybe that kind of changes my mind too. rotate that up like so. Slide that over. Where does that actually come? So about, let's see here. Maybe something like that. And slide it over just a little bit more. You know what? While it might not be the best idea I've ever come up with, it's not a bad idea. It looks nice. And for a ride like this, if someone were to jump over the fence for some reason, number one, someone could hop the fence. I mean, of course, you can hop a chain link fence, you can hop a barbed wire fence. But I think if somebody were to jump the fence on this ride, it wouldn't like be the biggest of deals. They'll shut the ride down and make sure that person's escorted away. But you know, they're not going to get. I mean, they might get hurt, but they won't get killed because of it. So I think I'll be. I'm okay with what this is for right now, and we'll continue on with it then. See how it goes. Well, continue on with this. See how this goes. And I left a piece of fence down at the bottom. That's not good. Alright, so let's rotate this down just a hair. And we'll duplicate this piece of fence to replace the one I left at the bottom. There we go. And that looks pretty good here. Now, when we get to the corner here, I will... I'll put another. That's where I'll put the next piece of brick. I think probably 2 more, and we'll actually get to the top of the hill. And then, there's that. I think we can just level it off here. Probably do 2 more. Let's do something like that. I know the path's not quite even, but something like that. I might have to redo that last one, but that's okay. The last one coming up the hill, at least. Weird graphical glitch there for just a moment. Slide those in there like that. We will shrink that down to there. What I'll do is I'll rotate this just slightly down more. Just to kind of help that transition between the full slope and then the kind of the half or the flat part up there, and I think that looks pretty nice. I think it's starting to grow on me a little bit. I think that's what it is. What I'll do though, since I'm not 100% sold on this idea, and I really don't want to take, you know, if we're not going to continue on with this idea, I don't want to put too much more time into it. But I mean, it is growing on me a little bit. So what I'll do, I'll put this in stone cap in here. Take a look at it from back here and see. I mean, honestly, it's a little bit different fencing style, and I think it looked pretty good. It's starting to grow on me a little bit. I think this will work for this ride, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. We'll probably do it all the way up to this here, and then we'll probably put some railing because, you know, especially with the elevated path, this one someone could get very seriously hurt on this part. So, and I might leave this part open a little bit more. I'll probably put some bushes down here, so if someone did fall off, they get a little bit of a cushion. But yeah, but I think for right this second, I think we're good here. Let's go ahead and clear that. We'll get our bushes back going here. It's like Thunder Falls all over again. It's great. I love how Thunder Falls have turned out, but there was so much plant work we did in there, and I have a feeling this is going to be similar, if not even worse, because there's Thunder Falls is pretty much just a big oval. There's a little bit of a kink in the middle of it, but you know, there's that. On this ride, there is a lot more. I think this ride actually might be bigger than Thunder Falls, and I hope it doesn't take as long. I mean, I love doing that. I love showing it off to you guys. It was fun, but I want to do other things too. I don't just want to do like 2 track rides and take up 10 streams with it. So there we go. So that's kind of how I want it. Maybe a little bit bigger bush on the end here, but yeah, you can kind of still see the car ride, especially from this vantage point. I want to take a look here. No, I still think Thunder Falls is actually a lot bigger, but then we have areas like this that are not filled in, whereas here, a lot of this is going to have to be filled in just because the ride goes right by them. Maybe, I don't know. It might be, it would be close. You know, whether Thunder Falls is bigger than the car ride here, which is still yet to be named. Where I'm going right now, it's going to be like Snoresville or something like that. I hate to do that, but railing on elevated looks good. I'm going to use the default railing for this one. I don't have a problem with it. I think it looks decent at least. It's not the most, you know, beautiful railing in the world, but it does look pretty well. And I think something like that will kind of keep me from going insane from having to do all this railing and stuff like that. But it also, you know, it'll kind of give a little more kind of juxtaposition to the guess. This is actually for safety. This is really more for decoration. So I'm going to just try to finish up this top part here, just see how what I need to do per the ride. Just kind of where I can put trees and stuff like that on it. So let's do that really quick. Actually grabbed 3 pieces. I sure did. I'm going to try this one just a little bit, not a whole lot, but just a little bit, enough to where it shows like there is a curve here. Come on. I know it's auto-saving, but still, while it saved my butt last time, it still is a bit annoying, but we lived through it. Oh, that was a little bit off there. Let me fix that. This one. And I think there will be a good point for the another brick cap. I think that'll work out pretty well here. Something like, we'll rotate it just a tiny bit. It almost fits in there pretty perfectly almost. That's pretty impressive. There we go. Now as you're walking from Thunder Falls to this new area, you can actually kind of see part of the car ride as well. I'm wondering if we just go ahead, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. I'm not even going to question myself. I think we can actually use this curbing on the other side as well for kind of where Thunder Falls is. Now I do agree that I really should have some fencing probably here. But I didn't want to go too crazy until I knew exactly where I'm going to put this path at and things like that. But I think putting curbing kind of makes sense that we know exactly where the path is going because, you know, curbing. Anyways, let's do this. I'm going to lower it down. We'll kind of make the same height as the wooden ones we had along Thunder Falls here. slide this down there because this is a little bit of a wonky terrain. I don't know why it did this, but it did, and we kind of got to live with it. What I might do is put in, do something like, there's like a broken path here, and so make it look like they're working on it. I think that might look pretty nice. Let's see, do something like that. Keep on rotating it around. And something like that. This way, we'll turn just a little bit, because while this probably would be laid pretty straight, over the years it might have just been twisted just a little bit, either by like erosion or something like that. And you know, at this point, you know, they're like, yeah, whatever. They haven't fixed they haven't redone any of the pathing yet, so they probably would not have fixed this yet. I really need to go about there. That keeps emailing me names for the ride, and they're good. They're pretty good names. I don't know about some of them. Like the one he mentioned for the car ride was Bonnie and Clyde's Great Escape, which, number one, it's a good name, but I think the cars are too early. I might make that a coaster though. That's something a really neat coaster name. Because we do have stuff from, like, I think it's from the World's Fair Pack that's like the, you know, that can be kind of made into like 1930s or 1920s. It was 1920s. Alright, I gotta look this up. I don't know when Bonnie and Clyde was around. I gotta figure that out. And that's kind of driving me crazy now. But I think that might be a fun coaster theme to do, like a Bonnie and Clyde style getaway. It might actually be a dueling coaster. That might be kind of fun. One side being Bonnie and Clyde, the other side being the police. That might be a cool. That might be another coaster idea that we do. I know we do still have quite a bit of room here, but we're actually starting to have more developed land than we do free land. That makes any sense to anybody. Like, the land we have is pretty well developed so far. But I mean, yeah, a dueling Bonnie and Clyde coaster, or Bonnie and Clyde. Let me look it up. Bonnie and Clyde. They died in 1934. So the 20s and 30s, you know, style of, you know, scenery would work. That might be a fun dueling coaster idea that we might do. Now, back to this. How do we want to do the fencing around here? Now, this is where I want the path to come out to. But if you notice here, this path is all kinds of jank. Like 50 shades of jank. It is terrible. Let me see if we can maybe fix something up here a little bit better. I want this to be a nice slope downward. I don't want it to go. That looks a lot better, just taking out that one section. It's still not the best path in the world, but it works. I need to fix this section too. I think so. While I'm getting a little distracted from the car ride, this is really kind of cementing these areas in a little bit better. And I think that'll help kind of the car ride as well, because we know, where paths are going to be, so that we can kind of get plants in there to see, kind of where we want to, people want to see the ride, they can go to this area, something like that. I I might have to do a little something special with the area because this Kirby that we're using currently is not the smallest in the world, so it's a little bit of a tight squeeze in there. Let's try to look at. There's a couple pieces I like broken. I think it's called like broken. Yes, broken bits. That's what I'm looking for here. There we go. Now, if I can paint these to make it look like the... Oh, probably can't sample the road, but if we can make it look like the road here, we might be able to get away with this. And a little bit lighter. Maybe a little more orange that way, maybe. Let's try this color. So what I want to do is I don't want it to align to surface, but I want to rotate it and kind of bring it down just a little bit here. Alright, let's lighten it up just a little bit. Maybe somewhere around in there, maybe? Let's try that. See how that looks. I mean, from here, it looks pretty good, I would say. You can tell there is something wrong with this path, and that's kind of the idea. So what I want to do is bring this up just a little bit. We can hide some of this into the path, the ground, and kind of do something like that. And so it looks like maybe there's some part of the path that has kind of been broken up a little bit. So rotate this down just a little bit, so it looks like they're angling up a little bit, so it looks like something maybe broke it open. Yeah, look at that. I didn't think I could get it that close, but I think that looks pretty good. So what I want to do now is bring up, but I want to bring the barriers up. But I want to see if maybe, is there a way, you know what, I bet you there's a way I can do this to make it look like that we kind of did this on purpose, that, like, yes, we understand that there's something wrong here, but you know what? What if we just did this? I know the little dots are going to stick out of the ground, and I kind of want them to. If we do something like this, kind of just cordon this area off. A little bit of room, but something like that. That might work. Now, just to me, I mean, I could put road barriers here. This might be a bit overkill. Oh, maybe not. You know what, do something like that, and like that, just kind of warn people, says, hey, we've got something wrong here, and we're trying to fix it. But the other thing I wanted to do is go over to Path Extras, grab a couple of trash cans. And you might be wondering, why in the world do I need trash cans? Well, what trash cans do we use over here? Use the spooky ones. If I can do something like this, and like this, and then let the game save, and then go to something like art shapes, maybe. It's a little thick for what I'm thinking here. This should work again. Nice fluorescent yellow color is what I'm looking for here. I'm going to align this to a surface. I think I'm going to turn it just a smidge. Pull it into there. You know, while this is not supposed to look, you know, perfect, this is kind of the idea at least. Let's slide that up to there. And slide this one over to the barrier here. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm roping off this area with a trash can. Just, you know, that's kind of the idea at least. While they probably would have done this, you know, I need to move the barriers just a little bit, just down, so you don't see the ends popping out there. You know what, we actually probably should remove the barriers and move them out more. And I'll do that here in just a moment. Let's actually get this stuff into a scenery group. Merge that, edit it. Go ahead and rotate this. Not the way I wanted to rotate it. Alright, well, let's try this again. I accidentally duplicated it. Everything's falling apart now. I'll just be honest with you. There we go. We'll rotate this around like so. And we'll tie it to the front of this trash can, or tie it to the front of this trash can. And that looks like a good post to tie it to. Go across here like this. Like that. Then we do something like that. Maybe probably at least one more piece. And we'll do that, and we'll need to rotate it back just a little bit here. And there we go. We got our nice cautioned off area, just because our path's broken up there just a little bit. And now it's like that's kind of a great example of if you can't hide it, feature it. I know I've mentioned this a couple of times while streaming, but in like movie like prop making or model making or something like that, one of the big sayings is if you can't cover it up, make it a feature. Not as prevalent in programming, but that it's something that, you know, I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. We'll follow the barriers a little bit better with the smaller ones. But it makes some sense. If you really can't hide it, you know, you have to, you know, it's going to have to show for some reason or another. Make it part of something. You know, at this point, you know, we had the issue where the terrain was really messing with that path. We could have very well ripped the path up, but I was afraid that if I were to do that, it would mess up all of this as well after we put the tile and everything down, especially with the cart being there and things like that. You know, like I was afraid that something like were to happen. But if we can make this a feature, so we had to live with it either way. So if we make this a feature item, like, oh yeah, there is something wrong with our path here, but it looks like it's just a couple pieces of tile or the rocks have been broken up a little bit. And so, because of that, we've kind of cordoned off this area here until such time that we can get it fixed. And they're probably working, you know, in kind of in lore, they would be working on it, but, you know, I don't have construction workers, although that'd be kind of fun to see in game. Look how like the evil genius construction workers, be kind of fun. There we go. And let's lower this into the ground here. So now people should walk around this. At least we'd hope that people would walk around this. I need to get a shovel out here. One of these shovels here. Something like this. We'll prop it up against this barrier. Why not? Like they you know, I want to show that yeah, they're working on it, but maybe they're taking lunch. That might be why they're not there. There could be other reasons too, but that'll be the main reason. You know, they're just out taking some lunch. Because you know, especially in amusement parks. Food is amazing. It's a little expensive, but it can be amazing. So, what else would you need something out here for? Maybe some. Do they have like a sack? Maybe like. Maybe they have this sack. They have something like this. What a wheelbarrow. Probably not. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't see a wheelbarrow anywhere. Something like this could work, but it's a little too, like, themed. Maybe there might be one in buildings. Hold on. Because for some reason, they always have stuff like this. They always have some weird things in buildings for some reason or another. Not sure, really. Let's pause it right here. I need to just run to use the restroom real quick, guys. So I'm going to pause really quick. So I'm going to put the B right back screen up real quick. And so hopefully when we come back, I'll maybe think of something else that we can either build or we can find in-game really quick so that we can put around our little construction site here. Guys, yeah, I'll be back. Give me like 2 or 3 minutes, and I will be, just be right back. And if you guys need to use the restroom or anything like that, it'll be a good time to do so you don't miss any of the action. I'll be right back, guys. Good morning, everybody. I am back, and hopefully I'm a little more awake too. But I've noticed on there, on the Be Right Back screen, I'm still trying to figure out what in the world's going on there, or at least how to fix that. That should be up to 38 people. I only need 12 more to get to that 50 goal, and I'm pretty excited about that. Now, while I was in there, didn't think of anything to put in here, which is a bit odd, but I want to see if make sure people walk around this, not through this area. It looks like they are walking around it. It looks pretty good. It's going to narrow the path a little bit here as well, but I think this is not the worst area in the world to narrow, because it's not really one of the main paths. I would suspect the main path is more along the lakeside. It looks like people are walking right around it. No problems at all. I am okay with that. Now, what do we do for the last 45 minutes or so of the stream? Good question, because I really have no idea. I mean, I like this theming. I think we need to add a little bit more, maybe a smaller building around here somewhere or something. I'm just kind of, I don't want to say burned out on that idea, but I'm out of ideas. I mean, this bridge, really, when I built this ride, this bridge was the only idea I had. But I wanted to put a car ride in here, just to kind of, I like the idea of one. I loved them as a kid. They're just fun to have. They're fun for a lot of people. So that's why I wanted to add them in here. What I might do, though, is actually work on this area just a little bit. Because we really just need to kind of work on this area just a little bit more. Work on these little grass triangles here. And maybe even work on this fence and bring the fence down this way. So I think what I'll do, go edit this here. I'll put a brick cap kind of over this direction. I want to put the brick caps at least here. And probably one on this corner as well. I think those will be kind of where we put those at. Like that. Then we might have to put one more in between this one and the other one. Maybe not. I think we'll be just fine without it. Alright, so we can continue on. We'll turn this just slightly this way. So, slide that into place here. Right there. And continue on this way. You know what? I better slide that in a little bit more like there. So, and while I know this path isn't 100% straight, with putting a fence up that is straight, I'm hoping it gives kind of that illusion that yes, the path actually is pretty straight. And I could be wrong about that, but you know, it makes sense. Kind of your brain would fool you into thinking, oh, the fence is straight and everything else is kind of lined up. That means the path has to be straight. You know, there's probably some psychology along with it. I never took psychology in college, thankfully. But you know, it's one of those things. I took sociology, which sociology is kind of interesting as well. You know, while you know, psychology kind of deals with the individual person and how they, you know, interact with different things. Sociology is kind of how a group of people deal with things, and that to me was a lot more interesting, because like if we really want to apply it to amusement parks, you know, we can do that. You know, why do people like? And you can go to any amusement park out there. If you go there right when the park opens, most people will tend to go to the right side of the park first, then the left side. Why that is, I really don't know. It's kind of a... I'd be kind of curious to see, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this, but I think a lot of people are like right-hand dominant, which I think that makes sense. Because of that, they're more drawn to the right, and they want to go into naturally they want to go to the right and do like a counterclockwise motion for some odd reason. Why, I have no idea. You can also go into stores and kind of see that as well. When I used to work in merchandise, people would always go, you know, people's natural tendency is to go to the right, so they'll do that and then do a kind of counterclockwise loop around the store, and then if they want to buy something, they'll go to the register and do that, you know, whatever. But it was always odd, and it was stuff like that I, you know, you learn in sociology, like, oh, it's kind of neat that you can apply that. And that, I actually, when I took that class, I was still working for Cedar Fair, so it was kind of neat to see some of those ideas in actual like scenarios. There's that one. There's a couple other odd ones like that. Like, what were some other big ones? Now I won't be able to remember. While sociology was fun, I don't remember a lot from it. Kind of one of those classes you just kind of don't remember a lot of. But I think we got at least the fence down to here at least now. And you know, I'm starting to kind of like how it looks. Kind of gives you that feeling of an old car ride. I do quite like. All right, let's see here. You know, I haven't talked a lot about some of the other ideas I had for Thunder Lake. Now, because originally Thunder Lake, I was going to do whatever I wanted to. And it was probably going to be like more like a high budget kind of Disney-esque style of park. But then as I did the boardwalk, and like I really enjoyed that. And I kind of realized that maybe this park would be more of a smaller budget, more of a amusement park than a theme park. But there were some ideas that I had for this park and other parks that I never really got around to. One of them that came up from here, essentially where Shockwave is now. I actually had a steampunk-esque area. I can't remember what I think I called it the Gaslight District. I think is what I called it. But essentially, it was going to be a Victorian-style steampunk area, and if you'll ever look like Gears of Fear in this game, that was actually one of the main rides in that area. But I actually had some. It looked like older buildings, older brick buildings, and Victorian buildings that had all these like steam pipes running through them and things like that. It was an okay area. Wasn't my best idea in the world. It also had there was another coaster, and I don't know where I put it. I don't know if I accidentally deleted it or what. But I actually had an idea for a coaster. Because the reason I built the coaster was to kind of show, to see if we could, see if I can maybe see the coaster anywhere. I think I might have accidentally deleted it because we ran out of room. There's a couple ideas that I might have accidentally deleted, just because I didn't really have the room to put them in anymore. But essentially the idea was, it was like a Giga style coaster. It did go upside down a couple of times. But the idea was that at the station, when you get to the station, it actually split in two, so you could load 2 trains at once. I was kind of curious if you could actually do that in Planet Coaster, and you very well can. Essentially, you just use a second coaster to actually do that with. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you, as long as you know how to line everything up, and the brake run you have is conducive to actually having a switch track. Other than that, it was actually a really easy build to do. I had that in here. It was pretty much, that would have been pretty much right where we're building at right now, would have been a coaster. So we would have not had any of this, which to me, I think we've done a lot better than that. So it's probably a good one there. There was also another park that I don't think it was in here. I could be wrong about that. But there was another part, I actually had a superhero-esque themed area that I had an idea for. And essentially the whole area was themed, it was like you were in like a downtown of a city. Kind of a generic city, nothing too crazy about it. There was going to be one of the, this was about the same time that the elevator ride came out. So if you guys know what that is, it's like a Tower of Terror type ride. I had the idea to actually do, like, you were actually taking a tour through some laboratory, you know. It always seems like in superhero movies there's some sort of laboratory that they, you know, they're researching something and it goes wrong and that creates a supervillain. Kind of that idea. Or even like Gardens, kind of like the Gardens of the Galaxy idea from Disneyland, where they recreated the Tower of Terror into. Kind of that idea, I guess you could say. But it was a superhero themed one, and there was a couple of heroes that I thought of that, you know, just kind of generic heroes that they could put in there. That was kind of a neat idea. There was also a coaster in there that was kind of similar to like Superman or like the Batman ride, something like that. Yeah, so there are some other ideas that I just, either I ran out of, I don't really run out of ideas for, but I ran out of drive for them, I guess you could say. Get some mulch. That maybe one day I'll pull back out and say, hey, this might be a good here or something like that. But I think at the time I really just didn't have the skills to do what I was thinking of. And, you know, maybe one day I will. Or if not, you know, oh well. I'll just have to keep those in the back of my mind for now. You know what? Let's try using a 6x6 here. I think that'll help if we can get it. Well, sometimes this game does not like to cooperate with me. I get it, but, you know, I think it's a little too large. And they don't have, I'm surprised they don't have a 4x4 meter. And I think I mentioned this last time we were doing mulching. Unless I just didn't download it, which, well, let's also be fair, could also be the truth too. You know what we could do though? Let me see if I can actually pop it up on the Steam Workshop real quick to see if there's, I happen to look over the 4x4 one. Let's see here. Theme Maker's Toolkit, yep. By Idro. Idro's an awesome creator. A lot of things like the parasols over the shrimp shack, all the like drink coolers and things like that, that was all Idro. The storage bins we used on Lake Monster was all Idro. Let's see, a lot of the signs that we use, the toilet signs, the no smoking, things like that are on there. Hold on, he's got a handle. Let's snatch that up. Literally just like a small handle that you can use for like a door or a gate or something like that. That's amazing. Nope, it looks like he does not have a 4x4 mulch piece. It's kind of sad. Alt-tab out of here. Whoops, I just alt-tabbed out of the game. That was not good. Alright. Alright, back to our 2x2 mulching. Toolkit items here. We'll go ahead and start duplicating this on down here. Edit group. Yeah, why is it not editing the group here? Because it selected the wrong one. Alright. Theme Maker's Toolkit. Duplicate and advance. Alright, something's going on. Why is it not letting me duplicate all this? Like, it goes right to... Okay, lets me duplicate one of them. Let's try 3 of them. It might have been clicking through that menu and try to click on the group below it. That very well could have been what was going on. Which is odd, but alright. Yeah, alright. Alright, there's that. Theme Maker's Toolkit back out. Duplicate this. Probably have to go down to the half. Ooh boy, those are tiny. We can go one by one first. We can do that first before we really have to go down into the half ones. That's not what I wanted to do. Edit those. Duplicate this there. There's that corner done. Looks like I guess the first stripe of those done. We can align it to that surface. That actually looks like it's already lined up. Perfect. Get an inch right there, and it's bugging me. You know, while these mulch pieces are awesome, you know, it just it's makes it a lot easier than the coconut pieces we had to use. And if you don't know about coconut pieces, you have not been on Planet Coaster very often. And I think I even use them in this park a little bit too. Before they really had Theme Maker's Toolkits, while we were doing mulch, the best way we could do it was actually make it. There's a coconut piece in the game that that if you made it the right color of brown, it actually looked just like mulch. So the problem is it was like a 1 meter by 2 meter piece, so it was pretty big. So if you had like really small planters or really tight corners like that, you'd always see spots showing through here. So having this mulch here makes it look a lot nicer. There is one flower bed mulched. Go ahead and move on to the other side here. Can I put a 6x6 in there? I cannot. That is unfortunate. So let's go ahead and just start making 2x2s. Move that down just a little bit there. Here. And then we can move on to another 2x2. We'll move these along this edge. I'll probably put maybe a smaller tree or two in here. Definitely do some flower bushes and things like that too. So I think that'll really, you know, add to this area just a little bit more, kind of make the edge of the 80 section look a little bit nicer because we can actually, you know, like it there, and you know, make it look, you know, if you're looking through the 80 section into the new section, it does make it look like there actually is, you know, more completed than just that section. So quite like it so far. And let's get the 2 meter squares back out for this last little bit here. Probably 2 more. Last one coming up here. There we go. Let's take a bit step back and make sure there's nothing poking out on either side here. It does not look like anything's poking out. I think that looks pretty good. Alright. Bushes time and trees. I think I might use the smaller birch trees on these because it makes sense to me. Let's see. Birch trees. Maybe 1 in this corner, 1 down here, and 1 there, and maybe don't do, like, you know, don't want to do the exact same on the other side. I want to make it look a little more natural. And let's make this one a little bit shorter than the other ones. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. Not as short, but still a little bit shorter. This one I'm going to make quite a bit shorter. Like that. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of frames that really well. Actually, here's a great thing though. Since we're getting a lot more of this done, we can actually look at other parts of the park and say, wow, we actually see like how they would look completed. Like, if you look over here, like this part here, and look by Shockwave, this looks like an actual park you could walk through. Like, easily could walk through. I like, you know, I'm really enjoying how this is looking so far. And I'm happy to see that it's actually coming together like I would hope. You know, because I had no idea what I was doing when I really started this park. There was really no planning involved. Let's just put it that way. Because I didn't think I'd get this far in this park, so you know, why plan when you don't think you're going to make it? So, but now that we've made it this far, I can kind of say that I kind of wish I would have done a little bit of planning, but it's okay. Smaller one down there. There's those. Let's see what other kind of fun bushes can we have around here. Kind of sink these in here. Once again, I have no idea if any of these plants are what these plants are really supposed to, you know, represent or anything like that. I mean, they look kind of pretty good together with the, you know, color-wise. I think it's nice to kind of break up the green a little bit with some purples and reds and things like that. So maybe we do something a little more simplistic, like do something like just some. So we have those around there. Let's actually make these look kind of a little more planned. Like that we just had these nice rose bushes we wanted to keep. And so let's do this. Let's actually move. Thank you. And we'll slide this one down a little more. Looks like it's still maybe growing a little bit. Yeah, make it look like that we kind of planned this. So we put the smaller bushes in, and then we were like, oh, we have these really nice rose bushes. And so we decided to put those in. Yeah, I mean, while simplistic, oh, that's netting. While simplistic, I think these planters work out really well. I might come back and fill in some smaller flowers or whatever, but I kind of like how simple they look. They really look like, yes, we know that they're just flower beds, but that's what we're going to put there. So I kind of like it. Now, I think I don't know if I'm going to work on the car right anymore this episode. I think we're going to do some more curbing. Just kind of help settle this area in just a little bit more along the path here. Let's kind of work our way down this way here. Let's continue on just down this way. Snug it up right to the stairs here. Ooh, okay. Path gets a little bit wavy here. Might just have to redo the curb just a tiny bit on that edge, just so it slopes up instead of just that jump. And then we can kind of bring it back down a little bit easier on this side. Grab one of these pieces. They should be at the right height. Yeah, there we go. We'll bring it down to there just for the moment. And then we'll go back and fix this one really super quick. What I want to do though is slide that down there. So it looks like maybe that we did do a curb, but it's, you know, we want to have a little more access to the tower there. And then we can go ahead and start working. I just want to make the curb a little longer than I thought it was, but I want to make the curb down to the edge of the exit of the go-karts there. Something like that. I know this is not the most exciting stuff in the world. I try to spice it up with a few stories or whatever, but you know, but this I think really does make a park look, you know, kind of sets a park apart. There's something that it's very mundane to do. I mean, laying the same piece over and over and over again to get, you know, just on the side of a path. It is mundane, but I think once we get it done, this area is gonna look a lot neater. It's going to look a lot more complete, I also think. We're not just going to have this edge that goes off into the grass. We're going to have a definitive, nice definitive edge to the path here. And I think it's going to look really nice. I messed that up already. Ignored that one. All right, let's do this. Head out there. I'm going to aim it straight for that corner here. I want to kind of cut the path off just a little bit, but maybe not. That might not work as well as I thought it would. Well, that was just like the worst thing I could have clicked on. Move, please. There we go. Slide this over to there. Keep on going down this way. Once again, click the wrong button. Slide this out. Turn it. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a step back. We can kind of look back now. And I think that looks a lot neater. We gotta clean this up a little bit, but I think it looks a lot neater in there. We actually have something that, and you know, if you can see on forever and ever, it kind of makes it look kind of null. I kind of want to have these layers. We have these trees here. We can kind of see some of the rides in the background. We have kind of shockwave behind all these buildings and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like how this has kind of turned out a little bit. This is still is not great, but we can ignore that part. That's the great thing about it. I mean, yeah, I know why it's doing that, and I can rip up the path once again and try to fix it, but at this point, I think I can kind of live with it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can live with it. Yeah, I think I'm running out of ideas. That's kind of the problem, because I really don't. I'm out of ideas for the car ride itself. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. It's gotten to the point where I need to really just go back and look at photos and get some ideas to see what else. Even the station. I mean, I like the barn idea to make it look like somebody's pulling out of their barn or whatever, but I don't know. It's a little bit of a conundrum that I'm in. And we still got about 25 minutes left. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's like usually I stream till about 4 o'clock. With the way I've been feeling, it might be time to call it a stream. So why don't we go back and look through what we did today? So if you weren't here for the last stream, which would be last Friday stream, which is a little bit odd, we did work on the green monster. We did let's set the park in motion, just to make sure, let's just see how the guests walk through the park and things like that. And you might be able to see the coaster going as well. So we've been working on the green monster, or the lake monster, the green lake monster, I don't know what we want to call it. I think officially it's called the lake monster. We worked on that last time. We did all the queue lines for it, as well as did all the coaster tracks through the queue line, things like that. I really like how that's turned out. As well as the station here, very basic, very industrial, kind of based it on a hangar, really. It's kind of the idea. But that was kind of the idea. I didn't want this to be a super themed ride. I just wanted it to be generic and have it working properly, and it does that very well. Then earlier today, we actually did start on the car ride a little bit here. We did get this covered bridge built. I think it looks really nice. That was pretty much the only thing on the car ride I did, even though this one is called Driving Miss Daisy. Miss Daisy, the only place she went is over this bridge. So we did a little bit on this cliff side here. I think it's the idea of it's there, but it still needs a little bit of work. I mean, we can even watch this car go through here. I think it looks really nice. I think I just need some more ideas to really solidify it. I think we need, it's not going to be just plants. I think that's kind of my issue, is that I'm just kind of stuck on that idea. It just has to be plants, and I don't think it needs to be. So we need to figure something out here, but I think this is a good start. And then we did all that curbing and all the fencing along here. You guys see the car ride peeking up through the fenced-in area here that we've got. And I think I might leave this open. I want to decorate this hill here a little bit more than it is currently. And the last thing kind of did this a little bit out of order, but we did a lot of curbing around here. Kind of trying to finish off this 80 section. But we did have this little issue with the path here, and I figured, why not make it a little bit of a feature? Maybe we had some issues with our path and things like that. And so we have some busted up concrete here, and people are still going around, which is a good thing. Don't want anybody to trip over that. But yeah, guys, I think for today, I think this is where we're going to call it. But I mean, look at this. We're going through here now. We actually have, it looks like a full thing. I love this. I don't know why I like this retaining wall. I just, it's very nice, I think. But it's starting to actually really kind of come together, especially in these areas. We got some curbing here. I'm thinking about fixing this still. It's still kind of bugging me. But no, I think things are looking nicer. I do need to put some fencing up here, just so that people don't try to jump into the go-kart track while it's going. That would be a bad thing. So yeah, I think for now, guys, that's where I'm going to call it. I'm going to hit the kind of the main camera here. I talk to you guys for a little, just for a brief moment. I do appreciate you guys watching today. If you are watching this live, I really do appreciate it. If you guys are curious on figuring out how to help me out any way you can, best way you can do it is just leaving a follow right now. We got one today thanks to Grays04. I do appreciate that, sir. Once again, we're up to 38 now. We need 12 more to hit that 50 goal, and I'm trying to get there before the end of the year. It is now in September, so that means we have less than 3 months to get that goal. I mean, we have pretty much all this month, so it's more like 4 months, but with, you know, unfortunately I don't stream as much anymore as I did earlier this year, but still, I like to try to get to that 50 follower goal before the end of the year. If you're watching this later on YouTube, I do appreciate that as well. Go ahead and leave a like and comment if you enjoyed the video. And I do, it's like, and if you do want to catch a live stream live, I do stream. I've been trying to do it every Wednesday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Although things have come up and I've missed that before, but we're still trying to get things ironed out. And I think now that I've kind of settled into my new position, it's been a little bit easier. So I think that'll be a lot nicer to do. It'll be easier to do for the next, couple of weeks. So guys, I hope you can join me live. If you are joining me live already, thank you as well. I will see you guys again on Friday. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing yet. I thought about doing some more iRacing. I might play some BattleTech. I don't know yet, or MechWarrior 5. I might even switch over to BattleTech. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out and let you guys know. You'll be the first to know on the schedule, so just keep an eye on that. I'm hoping to make a decision tomorrow. Just don't know quite yet. But until then, guys, I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great Thursday, and I'll see you guys on Friday.